Welcome to Tenacious Entrepreneurs, where perseverance meets purpose and every setback is just another step forward. Join us as we dive into the journeys of entrepreneurs who faced failures, embraced change, and emerged stronger than ever. Whether you're dreaming big or already on your way, this podcast is here to remind you that the end is only the beginning. Stay inspired, stay tenacious, and let's conquer the entrepreneurial world together.
Hey, welcome back to the Tenacious Entrepreneur Podcast. This is Joseph Dupont, your host. We've got an amazing second part of our story that's going to be coming in on Miracle Mary. So I just want to, I want you to get the story out of the way just to hear everything, but I want to go back to like how you were mentally preparing yourself. Like, the doctor tells you, okay, Tuesday you can come in, your baby's not doing well, she may die over the weekend. That had to be the longest weekend of your life.
It was.
Yeah.
And even the night after they did the transfusion, they put me in a room with another lady who had lost 6 pregnancies that you couldn't carry long enough for them to live. But this one had, because my doctor had taken her. She was a special case too. And she talked on the telephone all night long, which was the worst night of my life because I didn't know what was going to happen to me.
So you didn't have like husbands back then couldn't come in the room with you.
No.
You didn't have your mom was in Mississippi, right?
Yeah.
And you were in Tulsa.
And
So you had no family.
right. But my church family in Tulsa were praying for me. And my father prayed all night long, he said. And next morning we went back to Tulsa. And then on the 18th, we had a wonderful delivery. And we got to see her, about the 23rd. And she came home when she was 11 days old and has done very well. And this new field of medicine has flourished, and you would not believe what they do to kids now before they are born. And we got ready for that mentally, not because we prayed so much, because we were so numb we didn't know how to pray. But my father had prayed all night. My friends in Tulsa had prayed nearly all night. And it was a wonderful thing to have people so close to you who knew the Lord and knew what could happen. And most of all, we knew that God was there and God was with us. And regardless what happened to us, he would still be with us. And
I know it's had to be tough. Like, I know you said whenever you lost the first child, Francis, that you had well-meaning people tell you stuff. What was it?
okay, when I went back to work after the first one died, this lovely lady who ran the tea room in the medical building where I worked, I was eating and she said, "Honey, God just didn't want you to have that baby boy."
Wow.
And I just looked at her like, "And he sent you to tell me, but I didn't say anything."
Yeah. Yeah. It's a shame. Like there's a lot of times women, or people in general, they feel like they have to explain God, explain why God did this or why God didn't do that. And they don't understand that it's really not our job. We don't have to explain it. It didn't help you.
There are lots of people nowadays, especially with the wars on and off, that lose the kids. And we see mothers and families of veterans that are in terrible shape. And we can sympathize with them because we've been there. And we know what it's like to lose a child.
Right.
It's very difficult to get your life back together or to accept it. And the fact that you never touched him before he was born is something that...
Yeah, it's just devastating. It's for a woman that's out there that's, lost a child and doesn't feel hope. It doesn't feel like she has any real hope. What would be the thing you would say to a woman who's lost a child, is thinking about how to get through it? How do you suggest she navigate through that?
I don't know. God is there, and I think you need to depend on him, but that's easier said than done.
Yeah, it's a platitude, coming from this side of the table, but it's very, very difficult to do that.
But I don't know how anybody could do it without God, because he was there all the time. One person told me once, when you became a believer, it was a definite date, just like your birthday, and if you don't remember it, you probably aren't a believer. Well, that's not my experience, because I was born into a family where God was very important. My father went to seminary while I was a little kid, and he had lost a brother of Spanish flu in World War I, his identical twin. They were together all
identical
the time.
twin. Okay.
They were together all the time, but he got married in May of...
So why did he not go to war, your father?
That's what
He got married in May of 1916, and they put the rule back in for people to go to be drafted in May, and he married in April. So he missed it by just a month because they did not take married men.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In the first part of World War I, and his brother was on a ship going overseas, and he died of Spanish flu. And it's strange about the Spanish flu. You can look in any history book you want, and if it hasn't been written in the last 5 or 10 years, it will tell you we don't know what caused it or where it started. But our advocate in Baton Rouge ran a story about 97, I believe, saying we now know what happened and where it came from. It came from pigs in Kansas. And it's sort of like a bird flu, but anyway, my father, after his brother died, he felt called to the ministry. So he went to the seminary after he was married and had 2 kids, and became a minister. And he worked with the poor during the Great Depression. Certain people wanted to know why he didn't try to get a big church in town somewhere. Yeah. But the people that were out in the country were the ones that were really needing some help, and that's who he chose to help.
Yeah. I think that's tremendous, and it's amazing that Mary's alive and well, and
60 years later.
That's right.
Just had a birthday.
Just turned 60, so 60 years later.
Yes.
And she is alive and well, and God's blessed you with a amazing husband.
Yes, you are.
But seriously, I want to thank you guys so much for coming on the show and for being a part of sharing your story. It's so valuable for women to understand that, hey, there is a God out there that cares. And whenever other people are telling you that you should just deal with it and move on, leaning into God is the thing that actually brings you through the hardships and the trials. So
that's right.
I greatly appreciate it.
And Mary? She had no idea when she saw that article in the New York Times that she would end up having an intrauterine transfusion.
Yeah, I said I would never go through all that.
Yeah.
I was already about 6 months pregnant when a patient brought in the Time magazine and said, "Here, this is what's going on. If you'd had this when your other baby died," which I didn't have. But I said, I read it and I saw it, the diagram. I said, boy, I never go through that.
Yeah.
And about a month later, I said, can't we do it right now?
Yeah. What a miracle. And you've been serving God ever since. Yeah, I know you've never wavered in your faith in serving God, and that's carried you a long ways. I want to fast forward a little bit to what happened whenever your daughter Carmen had a auto accident that had happened. What exactly happened there, Mary? Do you remember what happened with Carmen?
Yes, she was hit, Mary. She was hit by a guy who'd been out all night doing marijuana, and he missed a turn in the road, and she was standing in a friend's yard, and her daughter was standing by an open door to the car, and she screamed, "Get in the car," which saved the daughter's life because he was still going like 65 miles an hour, and he told the whole car around her daughter, Alexa, and knocked her out. And for several minutes while they were looking what was going on afterwards, they didn't even remember Alexa was there. And then he turned and he hit her and threw her like 45 feet in the air, and she landed on her head. So they never promised us anything that she would live or not live. And I'd say, what?
This was what year? How long ago was this?
This was 2010.
Okay, 2010. So that same day.
That's next night, my husband died unexpected.
Right. The next night, what I was going to say is your husband went into the hospital. Now, he had cancer.
Yeah, but it wasn't cancer. And I think I don't think it had anything to do with cancer. But
I'm going to say the reason why he went in the hospital is because he had a colostomy bag.
Well, he had a colostomy and a urostomy.
Right, but it was backing up. And so this was a common thing that he would go to the hospital to get it cleaned out.
Well, no, let's see what did.
Carmen had been hit by the truck. The truck hit Carmen's car, so that took a lot of the impact. And she was running to get out of the way in the front yard. He still hit her and threw her to where she landed on her head, split her head open like a watermelon. Yeah. So that's about 4 or 5 in the afternoon. We get a call. We're rushing to the hospital. Dad was admitted into the hospital the next morning, and he didn't want to make a fuss over himself because he wanted all the attention on Carmen because she was still in a coma, and we weren't sure if she was going to wake up. So she's in the ICU for head trauma. He's in the emergency room, and they gave him a shot to settle everything down. And then they eventually moved him to a standard room.
Was this the first time you ever been to the hospital for this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So you never go to the hospital for this particular procedure.
Right.
But but it was sort of a standard procedure. It wasn't something that was considered
they gave him a
life-threatening.
shot because he was throwing up for nothing. He had nothing on him.
Right, but it didn't seem, it just was a normal, he didn't seem in danger is what I'm saying.
Right.
Carmen was the one you were focused on.
Right.
Because she was touch or go, whether she was going to live or not. And your husband was in the hospital at the same time. Normally you would be staying in the hospital with him.
She and I stayed with Carmen the night before, actually in the hospital, not with her while they did surgery. And they never promised us anything about her. And then I talked to his doctor, and I said, he's throwing up, but he doesn't have anything to throw up. And he said, she said, take him home to the hospital. So that's how he got to the hospital. And they said, we would send him home tonight, but you were here all night last night, so we'll just let him stay till morning. Meanwhile, he died about 1:30 in the morning.
So he died just aspirated.
The shot wore off, and so he threw up in his sleep, and the code blue cord was not plugged into the wall.
Know.
And it was halfway down. They were understaffed. So we don't know how long. It could have been 45 minutes or so. And they spent 45 minutes trying to resuscitate an 85-year-old man.
Right. Right. But so you lost your husband immediately, and you had a daughter that was, dealing with major trauma, and you had a granddaughter still at home.
Well, she had been in the hospital till they discovered she didn't actually, she had a hematoma, but she did not have broken bones. But on top of that, the next year, my brother was dying with cancer, and I had to go help him. And he died in April of 2011. My sister died in May of 2011. So that took care of all of us but one.
So there's a lot of major trauma within.
Yeah, there's a lot of major trauma. I'm saying I've been around for a lot of this, and the thing I've noticed is that your unwavering faith, like you were stable as far as not blaming God or.
My mother told me as a child, don't ever blame God for anything unfortunate.
Well, again, it's easy to say that until you're actually experiencing something that you can blame God for. It's tough, to go through that. And you never gave up. You never wavered. You never.
No, but I had lots of people praying for us.
Yeah.
And that gives you strength to keep going.
Yeah. Every day it just seems like you're getting stronger and stronger. So you
can't give up.
You've never given up in your faith.
Tenacious faith.
Yeah. She has some tenacious faith. That's for sure. Mary, what was going on in your mind at the time? I know you were at the hospital with your mom. and dealing with everything that was going on. What were you thinking? What was happening with you?
Well, we just weren't sure about anything. We were focused on Carmen and Alexa. You know, she came to live with us that year. That was, I believe, during her 9th grade year. So, you know, we took care of her because once Carmen got back home, Mom was taking care of her. And that kind of helped Mom with the loss of Dad, you know. And we didn't know what was going to happen with Carmen, if she was going to wake up. I honestly believe that Dad made a deal with the Lord. And he said, I've lived a long life, and he was so concerned about her. I think he said, let me trade places, let her live. She's got a life to live ahead of her. I've lived 85 years. Take me instead. That's what I feel happened.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely, Gordon was an amazing man. I remember him actually saying, hey, you guys go home. I'll be here tonight. You know, like it was just like,
everything was fine.
It was just like, no problem. You guys go home. Cause I mean, if any of us had any idea, we would have stayed.
Right.
You know, had we known anything would have happened, but
the funny part about it, the doctor called me at 2:00 and I was dead asleep. He woke up Alexa and she said, there's a doctor wants to talk to you. And he said, your husband died 45 minutes ago and we revived him. He's not conscious, but I think he's dying again. Never heard of anybody dying twice.
Wow. Nicodemus said you could be born again, but I never heard anybody saying that he died twice. But so yeah, it just going through all of the things in my mind. I felt like that you know, as a patriarch of the family or matriarch of the family, you definitely carried everyone. Your strength was the thing that everybody leaned on. You've been a strong pillar in the family for all these years, and we just wanted to celebrate you. And we appreciate you and think you're amazing. You got at least one daughter right. Not scared. Good. We love Carmen and Greg. They're amazing too. But
yeah,
anyway.
She's been an awesome mom, and there were certain errors that were made at the hospital with Dad. Just like with Francis going back, there were 3 major errors that happened. They didn't have the blood ready. They knew he needed a transfusion. The pediatrician wasn't there. So there were several things. You said there were 3 key things.
There were 3 main things. When I went in the night, the nurse could hardly find a heartbeat, I'm sorry, at 1:00 in the morning. But she didn't call the doctor. And if she called him, it might have been he had not swallowed fluid in his lungs at that time.
Yeah.
And they could have gotten the blood ready, made sure the blood was ready, made sure the pediatrician was there.
We were part of a new development in medicine that was coming about, but we didn't know it. We weren't doing it on purpose.
Yeah, what's so cool is this a part of medical history. So we're going to take all this information and her story, this podcast, and send it to the medical journal that she was published in, that y'all have seen a picture of. And we're going to let them know this information, and here it is 60 years later.
Yeah, every year for a while, they put her picture in the paper and brought us up to date on how she was doing.
Miracle Mary.
She never became Allison.
There you go. Well, thank you guys again. I just wanted to tell you how much we appreciate y'all taking the time to come in and share, and getting this on film and on camera, hearing it from your voice, and hearing your tenacity of faith has been encouraging for everyone. And
well,
we
thank you
appreciate
for not demanding all the details.
Thank you for having us.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of The Tenacious Entrepreneur. Thanks for tuning in and being part of this journey. Are you an entrepreneur with a tenacious story? We want to hear from you. Visit our website, tenaciousentrepreneur.com, and click on the Tell My Story link. If you got something valuable from today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a fellow entrepreneur. Keep pushing forward, and remember, the end is only the beginning. A new episode drops every Wednesday at 7:14 a.m. Until then, remember to stay humble, stay focused, and be tenacious.